A physical check is a foundational negotiable instrument engineered to transfer financial value fluidly from one party to another. By default, this piece of paper operates as a bearer instrument. If it is uncrossed, anyone holding it can walk into the issuing bank and exchange it immediately for cash across the counter. That unrestricted liquidity is a massive vulnerability. If the document is lost or stolen, the finder can drain the funds instantly, leaving virtually no trace for the original owner to recover. The Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881 solves this by allowing the issuer to alter the physical paper, embedding strict constraints on exactly how the money can move. This process is called crossing. It is a physical syntax, a set of markings applied to the face of the check that programs specific payment rules directly onto the instrument itself. To enforce these rules, the Act relies on Section 138, a statutory mechanism that escalates a failed payment from a civil breach into a criminal offense. The legal markings defined in the 1881 Act provide the specific syntax required to restrict this liquidity and assign clear duties to the banks involved in the transaction. We begin with the unconstrained baseline, the blank check. This flowchart tracks the flow of liquidity from a standard check. The first layer of programmable constraint is the general crossing. By drawing two parallel diagonal lines across the top left corner, the issuer alters the instrument's routing instructions. These lines serve as a strict, legally binding instruction to the paying banker to unequivocally refuse any over-the-counter cash payments. As a result, the liquidity is forced entirely through the banking system. The funds must be deposited into a recognized bank account, establishing a permanent, undeniable audit trail. The issuer can escalate this control with a special crossing. By writing the explicit name of a specific bank between those parallel lines, the routing becomes even tighter. Now, the paying bank is legally barred from remitting those funds to any institution other than the one explicitly named on the document. There is one exception to this singular path, known as a double crossing, where a second set of lines connects the first named bank to a secondary agent bank. This specific constraint is restricted entirely to bankers. It is used exclusively to route the check through an agent network for final collection. By physically crossing the check, the drawer shifts the entire risk of wrongful payment onto the processing bank. If the bank fails to follow these strict routing instructions, they absorb the financial liability. Looking at this routing diagram, we can add a more severe constraint targeting the end user, the account payee only textual stamp. This directs the collecting bank to credit the transferred value exclusively to the account of the specific payee named on the front of the check. Crediting those funds to a wrong account or attempting to route them to a third party instantly transfers the total financial liability to the collecting bank. This diagram maps a chain of legal title across three parties: a transferor, a thief, and an innocent transferee. This brings us to the most misunderstood constraint within the 1881 Act, the not negotiable crossing. The main misconception is that not negotiable means the document cannot be transferred. In reality, the physical check can still change hands from a transferor to a third party. What this marking actually does is actively destroy the legal protection known as being a holder in due course. The core rule of this crossing dictates that a transferee could obtain no better legal title to the funds than the person who transferred it to them. If the original transferor's title is defective, for example, if they stole the check, the new innocent holder has zero legal claim to the money. The chain of title is broken. These textual additions dictate legal ownership. They bind the instrument to the intentions of the drawer, ensuring that a defective title cannot be laundered into a valid one. Once a fully constrained, heavily protected check enters the actual banking system for processing, it faces the ultimate test of its underlying value. The critical friction point in this system is dishonor. This occurs when the processing bank explicitly refuses to pay the check upon its formal presentation. The payee is alerted to this failure through a specific documentary trigger, the check return memo. This document identifies exactly why the payment failed, typically pointing to insufficient balances in the drawer's account or a technical irregularity with the signature. Whether the failure is due to a deliberate lack of funds or a technical error, the law treats both outcomes equally for liability purposes. The check return memo serves as the legal trigger for a structured statutory dispute under the Negotiable Instruments Act. That dispute is governed by Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act. This is the engine that transforms a civil debt failure into a severe criminal offense. This timeline tracks the absolute prerequisite for this escalation. 5 precise statutory conditions must be met in perfect chronological order. First, the check must have been formally issued to discharge a legally enforceable debt. Second, the instrument must be presented to the bank within its strict validity period of 3 months. Third, the check must be returned unpaid, officially triggering the dishonored status. Fourth, the payee must dispatch a formal legal demand notice to the drawer, strictly within 30 days of receiving the return memo. Finally, the drawer must fail to make the requested payment within 15 days of receiving that legal notice. This procedural matrix is unforgiving. Missing even a single deadline by 1 day nullifies the Section 138 criminal claim entirely. Criminalizing a financial failure requires absolute procedural perfection from the payee. The law provides no margin for error. This creates a dual framework of protection. Crossing constraints secure the physical transfer of value, while Section 138 enforces the underlying financial promise. Triggering a Section 138 offense carries severe personal consequences, including up to 2 years of imprisonment. Courts can also levy a strict financial penalty, applying a fine amounting to double the original check value, or they can apply both the fine and the imprisonment simultaneously. A crucial modern update to this 1881 legislation, Section 143A, goes a step further. This section allows courts to mandate interim compensation of up to 20% of the check's value while the trial is still pending. This amendment immediately shifts financial leverage back to the aggrieved payee, preventing the drawer from utilizing lengthy court delays as a stalling tactic. This framework uses physical paper markings to determine bank liability and provides the statutory path to criminal penalties for unpaid debts.